It's because I saw so many jokes like this. I know Russian comedians here in Berlin and in the United States. They all speak with thicker Russian accent on stage than they do in real life. So they like, if you're in the coffee shop, he's like, can I have a latte? And it's like, he's an American, but on stage he's like, hello, my name is Alex.
Hello, welcome to Comedy with an Accent podcast. I'm your Taiwanese comedian, Kuan Wen. I interview comedians who perform English stand-up comedy but who are not native English speakers, or they can have a very distinct British regional accent. This podcast is all about comedy, about accent, about languages, and about the comedy technique. So stay tuned if you're interested. Hello, welcome back to the Comedy with an Accent podcast. Once again, I moved to Berlin. I'm here to do a solo show of what I'm taking to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Also, I'm interviewing a comedian who is now confirmed to be based in Berlin for the foreseeable future or for a fixed period.
I hope so.
Hope so. This is the very first Russian-speaking comedian. Wow, why do I say Russian-speaking? He's a Russian comedian. He's now living in Berlin.
But now I prefer Russian-speaking.
Right. Please welcome to the podcast. That's Denis Chuzhoy. I really tried. He's now known as Dan the Stranger.
Yeah, that is why I'm known as Dan the Stranger, because nobody is able to pronounce my Russian name. So
I always wondered about it, but then my Russian friend explained to me, Chuzhoy, the word, basically means stranger. In Russian. And that's why you are called Dan
I don't
the
have
Stranger.
much fantasy, so I'm like, let's just translate it.
How are you today?
Fantastic. The weather's good. I have my dogs. That's all I need.
Yes, Dan just posted an Instagram update and he just welcomed back his babies, his dogs.
My babies.
2 from Moscow, 1 from Istanbul.
Yeah, my international team of dogs.
No, what I call them puppy, but they're not. They are huge because continental European love big dogs. But it took them 1 hour to recognize Papa. I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm honored that I have
What was
those.
that 1 hour like when they were not quite sure?
They were terrified of like a new city because I don't think dogs are used to changing countries at all. And they changed 2 countries in the last year, so they were terrified of like the new neighborhood. When the war started, we all moved to Istanbul. But when we decided to move to Berlin, we sent 2 of the dogs back to Moscow. And then we found an apartment here. So it's a complicated story.
Oh, anyway, I shouldn't be questioning the credential of their suffering. I know some people were thinking, what are you talking about? They're a dog. Dog have feelings too. It's been tough on them. Okay, let's not pretend there's nothing weird. I don't know a lot about Russia. And actually, okay. Are you sorry for that? I'm just joking. I'm just joking. We're not going to pretend the war isn't happening. It is happening. It is part of the context of the interview today.
Sure.
But the war is also a reason you change your trajectory, how you think of your target audience, your market, right? You made a big life-changing decision. You made it and you're now based in Berlin. And that times to the theme of the podcast, and I will explain later. But first, I want to say, Dan, you are the very first comic I do not know in personal terms at all. You were recommended to me by a dear friend of mine. When I used to live in Berlin, I went to German classes, and there was this very lovely, smart Russian girl called Kat. Oh, should I disguise her name? I don't know. Okay, I would say Katya, I would say Daria. One of them is the real one. Anyway, when I first met her, I thought she's Portuguese. Turns out she's Russian, but she's from Siberia. So maybe there's some mix. I don't know.
Yeah, we love being mistaken for other nations. Like, I'm from Portugal. I'm Portuguese. Yeah.
What do you think you can get away with if you lie about your appearance?
No,
I
it's
think,
it's
can you not
impossible
pass
to
as
lie.
a Viking?
No?
No?
It would be an honor, but no. You can't hide it when you like do comedy, because when you're just standing like being quiet, you can pass for a Swedish person or I know. But when you open your mouth, it's like, oh, he's a Russian. Yeah.
Oh, actually, people cannot tell between generic East European accent, but they're more likely than not to guess you're from Russia if they are not sure which one. So in that way, you can't really hide. Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, like, if you pretend to be like a Ukrainian or Belarusian, it's even worse.
I think that's touch about Ukraine with a bit of caution today. I'm just joking.
No, I mean, like, I know the thing. Yeah, I know why it's weird.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is all the guests I have introduced to the podcast to date, I've seen them live. I've known them quite well. I often share the bill with them. I'm based in London. Occasionally I come back to Berlin. This is where I started, but not a lot. I've never met Dan until today. So I was like, what if he's just an AI robot and the computer agreed to come? What if this person never actually existed? So Dahlia, my friend, recommended you to me. Oh shit, I let out her name. But she said this comedian is very interesting. He's now trying to do English comedy. I think for your podcast, you should interview him. And that's why I contacted you.
Oh, that's so nice of her.
When I contacted you, you're like, I'd love to do it, but I don't know where I will be allowed to stay. That's the actual conversation we had. You're like, I basically just left Russia. I don't know where I will be. You are on your way to do a couple of shows, like a mini tour in America. You told me your plan is to come back to Europe to stay in Berlin.
Yep.
But if the paper doesn't go through, you would think about other places. And thankfully, the German government do let you stay. Or have they not? You just illegally.
No, they let me stay. Thankfully, for the first time in last year, the plans worked out. Yeah, I got my freelance artist
like
type
a
of visa.
Künstlervisum, something like that.
You know the stuff. I don't know.
I've heard about it. I know because I used to live here with a British passport when Britain was part of the EU. So that's obviously in the past right now.
They have this program that you can prove that you're an actual artist, and they let you stay. And you have to prove that.
Are comedian artists though, or are we just lowbrow entertainers?
Oh, I like. The Germans think that I'm an artist, so I will not change that. And you have to prove that it's not safe for you to return to Russia. So I had to send them my stand-up videos and the recording of death threats I received.
You are saying that really shit comedian who can't really be called an artist can still stay on the basis of life-threatening danger.
Yeah, that's how we do it in Berlin, yeah.
So that's why I don't know him very well. But since my friend recommended Dan to me, I've been trying to look into what he does. And what I found out is you have, for example, so your Instagram and your YouTube account strategy are completely different. So you kept using your old Russian Instagram account. But your YouTube one, you set up successfully a new channel for English content. And I had to be told where your Russian content was and I went to find it. Maybe let's go for this way. Now you're performing English comedy. Do you think when you speak English that you have an accent? What do you think?
I'm pretty sure. I'm trying not to listen to my performances because it's horrible, I think. I mean, even in Russian. But I'm pretty sure, because that's why I need a joke to start my performance. I say that I was a Russian comedian, but since the war started, I'm a traveling comedian.
Yeah.
And like that explains I'm Russian. That's why the accent. And that explains that I'm actually against the war. And it releases the tension in the room because when you perform in Europe, there was, he's a Russian.
So you're saying that the audience are always scared if the Russian comic doesn't declare. Halfway through the Russian comic might say, Ukraine, and they're so worried it might happen. They need to be reassured.
Yeah, I don't think the exact lines in their minds, but
if I look at some Russian resident in Marzahn in Berlin, it's not impossible to. I think there are some war-supporting Russians in Germany, and in a way, ironically, they are protected by the democratic system. Yeah,
we have a freedom of speech, so here's my Russian flag. Oh shit, no, but you feel that there is tension in the room, and not a good tension. Not when you make like a sex joke and they're tense and they're waiting for the punchline. No, they're tense because you're Russian and there's some awkwardness in it, and you just have to say that I'm still a normal guy. I do not support the war. I'm against it. I'm against the Russian regime. So we're on the same page. We're good. And people are, okay, then we can hear your dog jokes.
Have you ever tried not to clear the air and just bang on with your jokes?
I tried it in Turkey, but in Turkey there are a lot of war supporters as well. In Europe, I've never took that risk.
Turkey is in Europe too. Dad is like, come on, you
half of it.
Okay, my question would be though, before you make the big decision to leave Russia, I think you were quite a recognizable name. You were quite big in Russia already. At that time, did you perform in English? Did you feel the need to have to perform in English?
It was just for fun. It wasn't anything. It wasn't about career. I was in New York once, and my wife told me like, maybe you'll go to the open mic, and like, okay. And I went. I did it well, but
is it a Buddha company one?
Yeah. That's the easiest one. Like, it's the only open mic that comes up when you Google open mics New York. So any Russian comic I know that were in New York, they all performed there because we're so lazy. We'll just Google open mic New York. The Buddha one is the first one, so we all performed there.
Okay.
And then I returned to Russia, and we had a show called Moscow Comedy Experience, where 2 Russian comics, one from Croatia and one from Israel, I guess.
Some international comics.
Yeah, and they did comedy in English in Moscow, but the audience were mostly English students, and they didn't follow the jokes. They followed the grammar. So, like, did he use the present perfect correctly? There were no laughs, basically.
Oh, you mean like Russian student who study English?
Yeah. Not expats.
So they were analyzing. They take that as a textbook material.
Yeah, because they...
listening comprehension.
Yeah. They promoted the shows in, like, English schools. So they just used to hand out flyers. So they came not to enjoy the show, but to learn English.
Okay, so I'm asking that question because I needed to establish the fact. Basically, when you made up your mind to leave Russia, you know that you can't continue to perform in Russia. Maybe you can, but the market will be extremely small. You have to now start performing in English. And I think you acknowledge that in some of the clips.
Yeah.
But at that time, you had not had sufficient training performing English. Your sense of humor is great, but you think in Russian. You used to think just in Russian.
I still think in Russian.
So you're training yourself to convert to an English stand-up comedy performer, basically. And I want to say something. I hope you don't find it patronizing. When we first had that chat, messaging, when I watch your clip, I think your English has improved so much. It's so much more natural right now.
Oh,
because I think it was in February or March.
Yeah.
You were trying to do some sketch, some sort of TikTok video, but it was obvious you were not familiar with this language.
Sure, yeah. Of course.
Do you feel like you've overcome the worst, most challenging phase yet?
Yeah, I'm not scared anymore, and I can speak English now. I used to memorize my jokes, like the poem. I just stood in front of a mirror, and I just repeated my jokes until I remember them well. And now I just have, like, the tags in my notebook.
Bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points. And it's enough for me to try some new jokes without memorizing and writing down all the jokes, all the words for a joke. So I think I improved, but it's a long way.
But your English also become a lot more American. I don't know whether because you spend a lot of time in America or because there are more American expats in Berlin compared to English expats.
I think it's just more American content that I consume. Like, it's just I don't really like choose my accent and my way. Is it British or is it American?
I'm not going to watch this video because God forbid my accent be tainted by Britishism today. So it's the comics you like, typically American comics, and
yeah, mostly because they are more popular in Russia. The whole comedy community, they all discuss like Louis C.K. and Bill Burr and stuff like that. So it's more American, although I prefer the British approach to comedy, but there are just fewer comedians that I watched from Britain.
So in a very generic way, I'm sorry if this seems too open-ended a question, what do you feel about performing in English in general? Is it something you just get on with or you don't even think about it? Or something I feel like, I really need to prep for this? You've explained you don't have to remember the script verbatim. But do you still have a little bit of concern if you want to improvise and riff with the audience and you'll be wondering, oh, maybe I should refrain from doing that just because I haven't really started performing English until this year?
Yeah, I refrain from crowd work because, like, I can't.
Have you not tried to, like, introduce a micro dose of it?
Even if it's going really well and I can
indulge yourself.
Yeah, but only little jokes. I can't really talk to a person like, what do you do for a living? Or stuff like that. It's closed for me. I can't do all those crowd work reels. It's not an option for me yet. So far, it's only the jokes that I wrote at home. But it feels freeing because you can reinvent yourself as a comedian. You know, when you move to another city, you can reinvent your persona.
What are you hiding then?
You mean like when you used to live in your hometown, but you'll move to a bigger city, and now you're a cooler person.
So when a slut becomes a born-again virgin.
Yeah. And so that's what happened to me when I switched from Russian to English, because I was a really slow and depressed and deadpan comedian in Russia. And now I can try something else. I can be more physical, my English isn't enough. And I can talk about different topics that I didn't in Russian. So for me, it's a chance to add something to my comedy style.
Are you aware of your weakening and waning accent? That is really it does not come out strong at all right now. Did you notice that yourself?
Not
at all. It is very, very natural as another international person.
Yeah.
I mean, native English speaker can be a bit of a pain in the ass. They might still point out, obviously you have an accent in front this way, But this is very fluent and very natural, very soothing to hear you. So,
that's so cool. I didn't think about it. Because when I...
Which only proves the point that there are too many people living in Berlin who don't speak German, and that's how Dan has been able to improve so quickly and so well.
You sound so German right now. Why don't you learn German?
I'm gonna talk to the Ausländer.
I don't know, because when I studied English at school, at university, we didn't pay much attention to accents or to phonetics.
Was your tutor Russian?
Sure, yeah.
Sure. I'm from the Kursk region. We didn't have a choice.
Yeah. We only learned the grammar and the vocabulary, but that was enough to pass your exam, and nobody cared about the phonetics and the
speaking.
Yeah. So that's why I don't know how to improve it, because I have this Elsa app on my phone.
Elsa?
Yeah.
As in Let It Go, Frozen Elsa, Princess Elsa.
Yes, but it's a robot that analyzes your phonetics. You just say stuff into
You know that when the robots revolt against humankind, you will die faster because they have every single feature of your voice already, right?
But I will fight.
They analyze the shit out of you.
But I will fight because I hate this person so much, this robot person, because she's like, I'm nailing it. I'm like, "Whoa." And she's, try again.
Oh my God. So at your age, you're learning to that kind of
because
detail.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but I hate it because it's impossible to get 100% score in this app. So I'm like,
So I'm going to chime in as a non-native English speaker. Maybe native speakers find it difficult to understand. Some of your vowels, the certain sound don't exist in other languages. For example, the sound A or A. If you say like a table, we don't have the A in Mandarin. So we have A. So we are more like to say table or table. But to learn to speak table properly, it takes some effort, and it keeps sort of repetitive practice to make more natural. But when we are tired, we could still slip. And that's what Dan had to do, to speak to the phone like some sort of idiot and say,
Yeah, you sound like a lizard all the time. And the robot is not happy about it.
Do you find your now much lighter accent actually a charm when you perform to the audience, though? If you have no accent at all, they probably don't even believe you're just faking being Russian. You're just a character who doesn't even sound like Russian.
I don't think Russian accent is something something charming.
It's a liability after February 2022.
She sounds so Russian. Oh my God. No, I don't see the point of hiding it, but it's not definitely my charm. It's not good. It's not something to be proud about. So it's just and I will not avoid it. I my Russian accent, but I will say things that will make you think a little bit better about Russians. That's
okay. Let's establish the journey. You left Moscow. You were looking for a place probably that didn't require a visa for you to land.
Yeah.
That's how you ended up at Istanbul.
Yeah.
How long did you stay there?
For about 6 months.
And why did you decide to migrate again?
First of all,
You don't want to be wake up by the
By the drums?
Prayer sounds.
Prayer sounds.
6 a.m. in the morning. Is that not Islamophobic? I don't know.
No, it's actually beautiful, and you get used to it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
But they have this holy month of Ramadan, during which they can't eat and drink water during the daylight. So at 3 or 4 a.m., they have the last chance to have breakfast. So they have a drummer that walks around in the neighborhood. He beats the drums to wake everybody up. And we were horrified during the first week. Our first night in Istanbul, we were asleep, and someone started drumming in front of our window, and like,
the army is coming for
get
us.
up! And we're like, holy shit, Putin found us, and. But it was the only inconvenience.
So Ramadan broke you, and you decided to move. Is that it? Food and water.
No, actually, it was our neighbor. Some lady didn't want the dogs to live in our building.
Oh.
So she wrote several letters to the management, and we were like, oh, is it worth it to fight? We escaped Putin, and now we have to fight this lady.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find something else. And then I had shows here in Berlin in Russian. People were asking, like, why don't you get a artist visa? I'm like, what is that? Oh, it's so easy to get. It's so easy to prove that you're an artist.
Should I keep this line or edit out? I don't want to get the Russian population in Berlin to travel as that. We just get more back. It's so easy. Can't.
You have to be an artist. It limits the amount of Russians. But yeah, we decided to give it a go. We decided not to fight against this Turkish lady and this Turkish bureaucracy.
Were you remotely tempted to move to the United States when you were touring there?
Not remotely. I was tempted, but we looked at the prices, even the food. When the breakfast for two costs $50, you think, oh, maybe I'm not ready to get
And
here.
that's before tipping as well.
Yeah, that's horrifying. And the medicine, the insurance and stuff like that. And I also tried to get to some open mics in New York. Turned out to be impossible to get proper amount of stage time. So I decided maybe I'll stay in Europe where it's easier to build an hour, and then we'll see.
Okay. How do you see the demographic of your audience change? Obviously, before you left, it was very Russian. And Russia itself is a big enough market. So that was absolutely fine. You perform in Russian. Now you left Russia, you perform in English. What have your audience been like? Is it more overseas Russian or international people or English-speaking people?
I actually did a really long tour in Russian. It was actually my longest tour ever.
But outside Russia?
Outside Russia, yeah. In Europe, in Asia, in the United States. Those were all post-Soviet people, not only Russians, but like from Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Belarus, and stuff like that.
I'm so glad you didn't mention the Baltic state because it might get a bit murky there.
What do you mean?
You say the ex-Soviet country. I think they don't like to be mentioned as the ex-Soviet country. But they are a sizable Russian minority in Estonia, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to do a show in the Baltic
Sure, twice. I had 4 shows in Tallinn. Now, since I started doing shows in English, it's mostly Russians and their new friends. Because Russians, they don't usually form national communities like Chinatown. They don't have Russia-town.
You say Russian don't like to stick together.
Yeah, because we usually leave Russia because of some disasters.
Right.
So we are usually...
Is it because you don't trust your fellow countrymen enough, or...?
I don't know. Maybe yeah. And maybe because, like, I left Russia because I was horrified by the war and by the amount of people who supported the war. And now I'm kind of afraid of talking to Russian and realizing that they are actually pro-Putin and pro-war. So it's easier to avoid them.
Because it's too awkward to ask that question too early on in the conversation.
And it's so painful to realize. Even like some of my old friends and comedy pals turned out to be kind of pro-war.
Yeah.
And it was so painful to realize that, so I stopped speaking to them. It's easier to be ignorant about it. So maybe that's why we avoid other Russians. And that's why we dissolve usually. We find friends like in Germany or in the United States. We learn the language and we become Americans or Germans. And that's why I have to switch to English quickly, because my audience will soon become Americans, Germans, French people and stuff like that.
But do you think you were working with an inevitable evolution, or did you want to engineer for that to happen? What was your thought process? You now left Russia. You were still able to gig for Russian people overseas.
Yeah.
So you could have just say, I'm going to monitor and just keep performing to this demographic continuously. So did you think about this and make a decision that no, now that I'm out of Russia, it makes more sense to go for the bigger market, or you want to do it in English because it gives you more freedom? How did you make your mind?
I want to move gradually only because I will not get a whole new audience right away. It's impossible. So I would prefer to have my old Russian audience, and I would prefer to add some new people to them. I started doing some immigration jokes about having a bad passport. I usually see Russians in the audience that respond to it. And I see people from India, from African countries. They also react to the same jokes because they also have this problem with air quotes, bad passports and being treated differently from European citizens and American citizens.
The lesser white. This one.
Yeah. This one, this Family Guy picture. Yeah. I think that I will add people with air quote bad passports to my Russian audience, and I will grow there with immigrants and people from non-European countries who are here. That's my strategy.
But when I ask the question is because when you face a predominantly West European audience, and a lot of them have quite a simplified worldview as a foreigner, I like to say ethnic minority, but I don't know whether you qualify as the ethnic minority. So not ethnicity-wise, but as a foreigner, the quickest way for you to get to them is to do very stereotypical Russian jokes. But then we are talking about mafia state, criminal spying activity, which I sometimes do as an opener just to get it out of the way. But when I watch your Russian material, you surprise me how intelligent your jokes are when you do that in Russian.
Oh, thank you.
I just thought it must have pained you slightly to have to do a disproportionate amount of those jokes to get your new audience on board, or you're fine with that. I don't know if that question is too pretentious, but that kind of hack joke, I will give you an example. This is from a Russian comedian I know. Hello, I come to your country to work. My work is to destroy your democracy. This is what I meant as a Russian hack joke. And is that accent as well?
No, I think it's boring, I guess. We can say the same things, but differently, because I'm developing a bit about being threatened for my anti-war position.
Yeah.
And that basically says about everything you need to know about Russia, like it's a mafia and fascist state. But I am the one who was against it, and here's what happened to me because of this position. So I'm not a part of this horrible state. I'm the one who interacted with that, and now I have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do this horrible accent, and I don't need to be this horrible character, this KGB sleeping agent stuff.
So if we go back to that question, suppose the every joke should be equal because there are some audience who like them. So why would you say that joke is boring? Just to say, I actually agree with you, but I like to understand how you rate that joke and how you say, if I had a choice, this would not be the first joke I do.
It's because I saw so many jokes like this. I know Russian comedians here in Berlin and in the United States, they all speak with thicker Russian accent on stage than they do in real life. So they...
Yes.
They like, if you're in the coffee shop, he's like, can I have a latte? And it's like, he's an American, but on stage he's like, hello, my name is Alex. Why do you do that? It's like, because it's exotic, but it's not.
It's not authentic.
Yeah, and I don't want to separate myself from the Western audience. My bigger goal than comedy and stuff like that is to prove that after some years, Russia still has a chance to be with all the other countries, to be friends with everybody else. By separating yourself and saying, I am here to destroy you, it's not a good start for this.
But sometimes people who tell those jokes, they will be like, but we are in a position to do those jokes. Those are just stupid jokes. Like, it's just jokes. Why does it matter? We are reclaiming those if they go down that explanation.
I don't want to reclaim this. I wanna,
You don't want it.
I want to forget it because it's like, I mean, only the BoJack Horseman made Russians sound cool because there was an episode about
The BoJack?
Yeah, BoJack Horseman. Yeah, the Netflix TV show.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I'll check with you after the recording.
Oh my God, you've missed some. I envy you.
I thought you meant Borat or something.
No, Borat.
BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, there was an episode about a really cute KGB sleeping agent that woke up in the modern America and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm always Russian. And like, he did this cute puns about being Russian, and that was cute, but most of it paints you as a horrible person, which is not true mostly. Most Russians I know, they're cool guys. They know the popular culture. They use the same apps and the same phones that all the other people do. So I want to show that we are similar, and I don't want to be like a separate thing, like this barbarian figure.
I think I agree with you in that it's going to work because you've seen somewhere somehow someone's done it and it worked. And so many people have done it. You cannot even name the person who first did it. But that makes you not you. That makes you just another Russian comedian. And that's why, as an Asian comic, I would tend to disagree with doing certain type of very stereotypical, racially typical jokes. And
When you say Russian, that's what people expect to see, like some aggressive dude with heavy eyebrows and stuff like that. But sometimes it's cooler to do the opposite. We had one famous Russian comic, Yakov Smirnov. He left Soviet Union in like 70s or in the 80s. And he made a debut on some late show. He was smiling, charming. He did really kind jokes about Russia and the United States. And that worked because they all expected some aggressive communist dude, and he was charming, he was happy.
He subverted expectations.
Yeah, that's always better.
So do you think, what's the percentage of your non-Russian audience right now at a gig you go?
It's like 5%.
5%?
Yeah.
You're still trying to grow it?
Yeah, sure.
I remember what I wanted to say. I think for someone who can be tied to a specific racial stereotype, as a comedian, your aim should you be put on a night of exclusively the same comedian from the same racial background? No one will be afraid of their joke being done by someone else before them. Because you all do enough different stuff that a whole night of Russian comedians will not scare you that you're on last.
Yeah.
I think that should be the criteria.
Yeah, I heard about the British tradition when comedians had a list of jokes and all the comedians could do any of these jokes and they just used to cross it.
Do they? I don't know about that.
I listened to a Stuart Lee lecture about the alternative comedians and the comedians that were before those. And they used to have this list of jokes.
Like a mother-in-law and...
Yeah, stuff like that. And these white dudes that just took the jokes and they did them, and didn't matter who told which jokes because they were all the same. And that's the same for racial or for national comedy. You should be afraid of it, of the situation where anyone could do any jokes.
Do you still think in Russian?
Yeah.
Because for me, that's really weird. English is not my native language, but I started performing comedy in English. So to express my sense of humor in person, I can be funny in Mandarin. To perform in a structured, sort of crafty way, English comes first. So I actually don't know very well how to perform in Mandarin. But you are the opposite. You're a native Russian speaker. You used to perform Russian comedy.
Yeah.
How painful was the transition?
It was actually not painful at all. As I said, I can't really joke on stage. I can't write on stage like as biggest names do. But mostly it's easy because it's the same process in a different language. I think I will start thinking in English at some point because sometimes I write jokes in English, like 10% of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to write it down because I'm lazy. I don't want to write it down in Russian and then translate it. And if I have a joke in my mind that it's already in English, I write it down in English. So my notes are a mess, like 2 or 3 languages at the same time. And I think it's a gradual process. And now I think in Russian, but I hope that my brain will go bilingual like in several months. I think it's cool to have 2 languages in your brain. That's 2 ways of thinking. I'm pretty sure you realize that some concepts are better in Mandarin and some concepts are better in English.
Absolutely.
And that's why when you have 2 languages or 3 or 4, it makes you richer as a writer. You are raised with Russian literature, and that's one way of thinking. It's more chaotic and more sad. It's longer, and the English structure is faster. It's more rhythmic. And when you can play with the rhythms and the concepts, it's better.
But I still have to say, I'm not an expert on your material. I don't know the Russian circuit. I don't know about Russian comedy in general very well. Watching the episode you release, I really hope I can get to see in very near future you do that in English, because you can see that natural rhythm when you use your mother tongue. And I'm not trying to criticize you don't have that in English right now, because you're trying to get there.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like always trying to achieve perfection. There's always a little bit difference between your mother tongue and your first foreign language. It was beautiful the way you do all the Russian delivery. It is so natural to you. And some of the bits, I would say, is not too difficult a transition, maybe because there's some universal nature in your joke joke, it doesn't go on, for example, like Russian puns or doing reference to global pop culture. So you joke about Harry Potter.
Yeah,
So that joke really can do just with a simple translation to the English language, and that will work.
I mean, yeah, it's just because I grew up watching American and British comedy. Some younger Russian comedians, they grew up watching Russian comedy.
What do you mean by Russian comedy? I need to know that first.
I mean, when I discovered comedy, it was pretty late. It was 2011, I guess.
Yes.
I watched like George Carlin, Eddie Izzard, Stuart Lee, Louis C.K., and there was no Russian comedy. There was like literally like 4 comedians in the whole country. So I had to watch a lot of American and British comedy, and I grew up watching them being universal, being accessible to any audience. I guess that taught me to be as universal as I could. Then the Russian scene emerged, and now younger comedians, sometimes they don't even watch American comedy.
Okay.
Because there's so much Russian comics that they grow up watching Russian comedy. They're good at Russian comedy, but they're kind of trapped in it.
Okay, so this Russian comedy emerging from the first generation of Russian comic, learning maybe from just doing what they do or from some of the American material, what's the characteristic of the Russian comedy?
Right now, or
right now, you say that these people are trapped in Russian comedy.
Now it's
by that, what do you mean?
It's mostly observational comedy because you can't dig deeper. If you do it for a big audience on YouTube or even on TV, you have to work with lawyers because it's dangerous to do jokes.
Is it censorship or self-preservation?
It starts with censorship. Like if you work on a TV show, you have to work with the lawyer who tells you to, let's get rid of this Putin joke, of this gay jokes, because now gay people are banned from TV. You can't even mention them. It's illegal to mention them. Like you do it once, you do it twice, and they just get rid of your stuff that works. And next time you think, do I need to write these jokes about Putin or about making gay people seem like good people? Do I need to write those jokes? And you start to not write them.
Let's talk about cabbages, something like that.
Yeah, because it's like you just waste your time on jokes that will never see the light. And that's when the self-censorship comes along. So that's why now, and even especially when the war started, it feels like sterile. They shot a new season of the stand-up show in June.
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 months into the war, and did the jokes like, oh, these taxi drivers, they're something. And you think, what?
So you're saying that, for example, the Wagner group on their way almost marching to Moscow, and that just happened.
Yeah.
But no comedian on that show is going to address this really obviously funny and ridiculous thing, and then we all just pretend it never happened.
And like we know about Wagner, but there are people in Russia that consume news from TV. Some of them, they don't even know about Yevgeny Prigozhin at all. They didn't even know about this possible revolution. They don't know what's happened.
So you mean by being trapped in Russian comedy, it is just so safe that it doesn't have any exciting edge to it? Like no one is pushing.
They do it, but now it's more and more dangerous. So if you go to see like a live comedy at the club, there are some political jokes and some other dangerous jokes, but it will never see the light. It will never be recorded for YouTube or even for TV because it's dangerous and it's underground now.
Right. That special I watched was released a year ago. When was it recorded?
It was recorded in like September 2021, something like that.
September 2021. You were joking about how short Putin is.
Yeah.
What made you think you won't get into trouble doing that? Like, did you have any...
I actually went into trouble.
Did you go into trouble? So tell me a bit about it.
I released it special, and several days after that, I got a call from my friend in my hometown, and he's like, dude, the police are looking for you. And they wanted to investigate some other joke. Like, there was a joke about bribing in this special.
Yes, the smiling police officer.
Yeah. This one. And they talked to me about this joke. 2 cops came from my hometown to Moscow, and I had to hire a lawyer, and we talked about this joke in this small room, like interrogation room. But it's weird, it was never investigated. And then I got a call from some fire police officers, and they're like, what the was that? Why did I get these papers from my policeman? Why? So they didn't know why I was interrogated. And people say maybe that's because of your Putin jokes, and they decided to like maybe, because in Russia police have to get a certain amount of criminals a month.
Right.
So they are looking for anything that can fit into their criteria of a criminal. So they watched my special and they didn't even know what's wrong with it, but they felt like they could bring me as a criminal. So they interrogated me. And I don't know what's the...
Did you think you would get into trouble by joking about the height of Putin? I'm asking that because I don't know what it was like before the invasion of Ukraine in Russia. And I know as far as comedy is concerned, probably no mainland Chinese comedian would dare to joke about the appearance of President Xi of China. But I think that speaks that even though Russia was authoritarian, before the invasion of Ukraine, it was not as highly censored as in China. That's what I'm trying to understand.
But it was pretty censored. Like I did this last special. We have this late show in Russia, like one late show. And the host of the show really liked my special and he wanted to invite me to perform or to be on the couch. And I was ready, and then they have some guy who investigates the past of the guest of the show, and then he watched the entire show and he saw this Putin jokes and he said, no, we can't allow him to be on the show.
You're too much a risk to the whole program.
Yeah. So I guess I wouldn't get into serious trouble, but I wouldn't have gone mainstream in Russia because with jokes like that, it won't be allowed to be on TV, to get really big venues for your like special tapings and stuff like that. It would be like a serious...
To be big in Russia, basically you have to sign a Faustian deal, right?
Yeah.
You have to accept there are certain no-go topics. And
that's what's happening to Russian comedians right now. They have to...
And it got worse and worse since...
I think it froze. Like,
it's so bad. It has already frozen.
It can get any worse.
Okay.
When I made jokes about the short Putin, people were more afraid for me than for comics that just criticized Putin's politics and stuff like that. Because in my jokes, I felt sorry for Putin. And Russian strongmen, they don't like when someone is sorry for them. Right. It's humiliating for them.
Because you're portraying their weakness.
Yeah, it's humiliating and it's funnier. It's funnier for me than just, ooh, Putin is so bad.
Putin did anyway, so...
yeah, it's so bad. He's so bad. But when you do, oh, I feel sorry, he's so short. It sounds more dangerous and it sounds funnier than actually being angry against Putin.
Okay, so I'm going to describe to you what my friend said about, I say, why him? And she then said, and I also observed continental European comedian, especially straight men, they have a Joe Rogan type of tendency.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Joe Rogan type of comedy, but when it's so much on a night, you just feel a bit tired. And she said that you talk about needing therapy, you talk about toxic masculinity. I was like, are you sure? Like, you're talking about a straight male Russian comic. I have so much prejudice against Russian comics at that time.
You are right.
And that's why I had a look. And you did joke about that in a very smart way. And that's why for her, you really stood out.
Oh, that's so cool.
So now in Berlin, do you feel like you are doing the percentage of typical, almost hack-ish Russian jokes as low as possible, or you wish you could still reduce it further?
I usually have one starter joke, and sometimes I don't do anything about Russia at all because
and it's completely fine for the audience. They love it. Okay.
Yeah, you release this initial tension about you being a Russian, and then I do jokes about living in Istanbul or in Berlin. It's like universal, and it's not about Russia. It's about me being an immigrant in a broader sense, not about Russia. It's about adapting to a new country, to a new society, some cultural clash. It's not about Russia per se. So
is there a reason why you go for a more, what I would describe as a British comedy approach, to base more on your story yourself, less opinion-based comedy?
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that, or you're just naturally...
It was 4 years ago when I was doing comedy in Moscow just for fun. It wasn't for money or for career. I worked at the office and I did comedy just for the sake of it. I wrote jokes really slowly because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know the direction for my jokes. And then I watched, it's not a British comedian, but he's kind of British in his approach, Mike Birbiglia.
Oh, yes.
And I saw his special called My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. It's a whole story. It's solo show. And I thought, oh, I have a story that I would like to try. And it works so well. Writing jokes inside of a story, it's so easy because you know the character, you know the obstacles, you know the goal. And I wrote a solo show in like 4 months. And I hit the road right away. And I think it's just my desire to be like Mike Birbiglia or like British comedians. And on the other side, it's just easier to write jokes when you have this bigger story to tell.
So that's your own journey. And how would you define your optimal audience? A room? How big is it? Where would it be? What the audience composition would be like if you had the choice?
I do have a choice. It's actually pretty easy to like.
Sorry for assuming you didn't have a choice. Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to repulse the audience you don't like. Sometimes when you do,
so you're by doing comedy on the road and over, you gradually filter out the
sure. You do like, maybe this joke will bring some Putin supporters, so I have to say that I hate Putin. So they would stop coming to my shows. But mostly my audience are people from the IT and from digital.
The millennials onwards.
Yeah, the millennials, pretty liberal.
Born after jokes about the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, around the time. I was born right before, like 3 years before, so it counts. So yeah, people who grew up in the 90s. That's pretty much it. I mean, I envy Mike Birbiglia. I mean, I want his life. I mean, I really like the way he produces his shows.
Yeah.
Like when the camera shows the people in the audience during his specials, I'm like, oh, they're so cool. And I once saw Mike Birbiglia in New York, just in a cafe. Just saw him eating and like, oh my God, I want to.
So it's less about the composition of the audience, but it's the audience so connected to you as a performer. They can respond to you in a very with a special bond. Is that
Yeah, I want to be helpful, funny and helpful. Some people would come to me after the show and said, I went to therapy because you talked about it so much. And that's so great to hear. That means I didn't just make them laugh, but I made them make some changes in their lives. That's so cool. That's my goal for forever.
You did check the comments on your YouTube video, right?
Sure.
So that one released last year. I read lots of comments via Google Translate. People say that days are like hells. I've been in a really bad place, but thanks to you. And they say, even though I know every single joke in that special by heart, I still laugh out so loud when I come back watch it.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's so cool because that's what happens to me when I watch Stuart Lee, Mike Birbiglia, sometimes Louis C.K. I know they're my friends because like I know their joke.
You know they aren't, right? You do know they are. Are they your friends? Are they on personal terms with you?
No. But I mean, like it's called parasocial friends.
That's what I'm saying. The illusion they're your friend. What social media created.
So I just I watched their special. And like, I know the jokes by heart, but it's so cool to be like in some safe place with them.
Yeah. I have no more to add, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
To come to the podcast. Okay, I'm going to say the only other Russian phrase I know to spasiba.
Oh.
Thanks for coming on the
Спасибо тебе.
podcast.